forging partnership among public, private, cooperative and community sectors at home, it looks forward to increased cooperation with all our international partners for necessary resources, technology, and other policy support as agreed in development outcomes such as 2030 Agenda, Addis Ababa Action Agenda, Istanbul Program of Action, Vienna Program of Action, and so forth. To conclude, Mr. Chairman, we must match our words with our action to truly ensure that no one is left behind. The credibility of this forum will be defined by its ability to provide leadership, guidance, and recommendations to implement the 2030 Agenda in this region. We know the battle of SDGs to win or lose will be decided by its success or failure in LDCs and LLDCs. For this, South Asia Forum on Sustainable Development must seek to ensure system-wide coherence and bilateral, multilateral, and triangular cooperation in achieving sustainable development goals and targets. Finally, I wish for the success of meeting of the South Asia Forum on Sustainable Development 2018. I thank you all and namaste to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. It's now time for us to hear the chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, for his inaugural address. You have the floor, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Your Excellency, Dr. Kadel, the Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission in Nepal, Your Excellency, Mr. Yuri Afnasyev, the Resident Commissioner of the UN, my dear friends Nagesh and Sachin, whom I have known forever in my capacity as the think tank world, Your Excellencies in the audiences, the dignitaries, friends, ladies and gentlemen. For me, it's an absolute delight to see a hall with only standing rooms only here to hear and to come and discuss about SDGs in India. I have been here when I've seen the Millennium Development Goals being discussed, and the attendance, I assure you, was much more sparse and far less than what it is today. And I think this is so wonderful to see this, because it seems now that the SDGs have been owned in India and South Asia. They've become our own. And I think this is a very good augury. This is a very good augury for us to go forward, because, because it is us, the civil society, the academic world, the think tanks, the industry, in fact, sometimes much more than the governments, who, unless they own the SDGs, and unless we create, as the Prime Minister is fond of saying, a Jan Andolan in support of the SDGs, we will not achieve them. And that we cannot afford. We cannot afford to not achieve them. So I think let me congratulate the organizers, the RIS, SCAP, the UN system, and of course my own colleagues sitting here, Niti Aayog, for this wonderful attendance and participation that reflects, as I said, India's and South Asia's commitment to SDGs. And I think it's because the SDGs quite truly overlap almost the entire development agenda for our countries today. I mean, they are in sync. They overlap, they reflect. I mean, there is almost like a one-to-one, sort of a relationship between the SDGs and what these countries, India and all the South Asian countries, hope to, are aspiring for. And I think this is where, the fact actually, which has been mentioned quite often, that it will be now India and South Asia which will be the drivers of SDGs going forward, as China was undoubtedly for the Millennium Development Goals. So it is for us now to lift all the remaining South Asians out of poverty once and for all in the science. It is for us now to really achieve what our Prime Minister has been saying, a prosperous South Asia. not just a poverty-ridden, not poverty-free South Asia, but a prosperous South Asia, a South Asia which is in his words Swachh, Swasth, and Saksham. And if it can do that, and I'm sure we can do that because the SDGs embody all of that. India's own development agenda is in complete sync with the SDGs, and I think it's reflected in everything that the Prime Minister has announced in almost effectively all his flagship schemes that he announced. And if you can see that, because it includes women empowerment, it includes environment, it includes financial inclusion, it includes pollution, getting rid of pollution, the water conservation, and you name a SDG out here, from 1 to 14 or 1 to 15, and you will see a flagship scheme for the Prime Minister, which is in sync with one of these or the others. And which is why I think, it was so heartening to see at the concluding session of the 4-day International Convention on Swachhata Mission, which happened on the 2nd of October, and which is also the launch of Mahatma's 150th anniversary celebrations, to hear that in at least one, which is 7.2, which is which is ODF, the open defecation free, we will in India reach this much ahead of the targets. We will reach it by October 2nd, 2019. Already 94% of the houses in India have now a toilet, which was only a 36% figure 4 years ago. An incredible achievement. 5 lakh villages now are open defecation free. 511 districts have been declared so. 24 states have achieved that status. And I was sitting next to the Secretary, Param Iyer, or lunch on this, and he said, not only is he confident of achieving this target as in some sense our tribute to the Mahatma on the 2nd October 2019, but he said, Rajiv, we will make sure that every possible criticism of this scheme, which is sometimes lack of water, sometimes very often a very major thing, a behavioral change, a change in the mindset, all of that would also be now attended to once this physical target has been achieved. So to see this recognition, to see the fact that the senior most bureaucrat in the government is admitting to the fact that there are these weaknesses in this particular scheme and these will be attended to, and the fact that he has subjected this scheme to external evaluation of the highest order, which is now being accepted by the World Bank in their own estimations and for the release of their own funds, I think is a really good, strong augury for us in South Asia to say that we will drive the SDG agenda, we will achieve these targets, and we will hopefully achieve them well in advance of 2030, which is supposed to be this thing. So I think this is really, and I think this is really reflected in the attendance here. And all of this, whether you talk about Jan Dhan, more than 310 million accounts being opened. You talk about Ayushman Bharat, which is going to cover 40% of India's families, 500 million people being receiving about 5 lakh rupees per family per year, and therefore the trauma of slipping back into poverty by a stroke of some medical emergency will hopefully be a matter of the past. And all such schemes, I think, shows that we are on that track for achieving what many people have mentioned here, the benefit for the last one in the queue, for the bottom of the pyramid, for the last 10% of the population. And this, and this is where I think we can all work in South Asia, which is that all of this cannot be achieved unless we improve the delivery of government services, of public services to the last mile. And I think that's the key that we have to achieve. And this is where I think the Prime Minister's effort today in India to replace a state with whatever it has been called before, a soft state or a crony state, etc., with a development state in India, I think is the key. And this is what South Asia would have to do, which is that in all of South Asia, we will have to put in place a development state which is accountable to the people of the region.